My ROH 13th anniversary show pay-per-view preview. The pay-per-view airs live exclusively on pay-per-view this Sunday night. This show I've been looking forward to a whole lot. Now, unfortunately, before this week, I would say the show, even though it had a really good lineup and it had a number of things on here that I would expect, this show to be getting more hype than what it was, it unfortunately wasn't. But one thing this week that really changed that around, I would say, is the announcement of Samoa Joe coming back to Ring of Honor. It was announced, he was leaving TNA Wrestling. Samoa Joe's finally done from that hellhole, and now he's going to be able to go back home to Ring of Honor and showcase how great he is, and can't wait to see him back in Ring of Honor. And even today, which is the one thing I think Ring of Honor did smart, which is announced that Samoa Joe is going to be on the pay-per-view this Sunday. He's going to speak his mind. Definitely cannot wait to see that. That right there alone is one thing that's been really getting this show a lot more attention than what it was, because unfortunately, about a week ago, this show, which has a really, really good lineup, you have, four-corner survival match for the ROH World Heavyweight Championship with Jay Briscoe defending against Michael Elgin, Tommaso Ciampa, and Hanson, which that should be a really, really fun, entertaining main event. And you got Jay Lethal and Alberto Patron for the TV title. ACH versus AJ Styles, Cedric Alexander, and Matt Sydal. And the match I'm looking forward to the most on this show, which is what Ring of Honor dubs as a rematch of Ring of Honor's best match of the year from 2014, which I will agree with Ring of Honor that it was their best match of last year, which is reDRagon versus the Young Bucks for the ROH Tag Team Championships. So those right there, and the stars I've just named, like the Young Bucks, AJ Styles, and Alberto Patron, you have them on this show. And unfortunately, other than this week, when the show's been getting a lot more hype and interest into it, going into it because of the whole Samoa Joe announcement, you would expect it would have already had enough hype already, but the Samoa Joe thing has really, got it much more attention. I'm glad that he's back in Ring of Honor. Hopefully, with Ring of Honor's partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, that this leads to Samoa Joe being a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling as well as working in Ring of Honor. The one last thing I don't want to see happen is, at least at the current moment, I don't want to see Samoa Joe in WWE, just because even though Triple H is interested in him, I just don't think they would use him right. I just don't think they would. And at least at the current moment, let's hope that he stays on the independent scene, does stuff with New Japan. Maybe if he does go the route of WWE, let's hope that we can at least have like a 6-month or a year-long, run as Joe back on the indies, doing stuff in Japan and getting back to everything of showing how great he was, because he's been lingering for years in TNA, and now he's finally back home in Ring of Honor, which is a great thing right there. But let me get into previewing the pay-per-view. Now, there's a few things on the undercard that I probably could deal without, but the only thing I am a little worried about here is currently on the lineup, you have 9 matches, and plus, obviously, you have the slated appearance of Samoa Joe speaking his mind, so you got about 10 segments right there. And I'm worried that some of the stuff on the undercard, or having 9 matches on here, some of the matches might not be given the proper amount of time that they will. But there are a few matches on the undercard that I think a lot of us can deal with being pretty short, like the Strong and Whitmer, Maria Kanellis, and O.D.B, and especially the one match I think everyone wants to see, given the least amount of time, is Moose versus Mark Briscoe. But other than those 3 matches, everything else is really good on this card from top to bottom. So the first match is Roderick Strong versus B.J. Whitmer. This won't be a terrible match, but it shouldn't be given too much time. I would say have Roderick Strong go out there, pretty much dominate him, have a little back and forth action, but have Roderick Strong look dominated, and have him obviously go over Roderick Strong go over B.J. Whitmer, which I think that's obviously the route they would go. Then you have Maria Kanellis versus O.D.B, and obviously a lot of people know from me, talking about TNA for many years, how much I'm not necessarily a fan of O.D.B, but I don't hate O.D.B. But her being booked in Ring of Honor with the Briscoes is probably the smartest, booking decision with her. If you want to use O.D.B in Ring of Honor, what better way to have her be with the Briscoes? It just makes perfect logical sense. And O.D.B versus Maria Kanellis, while it won't be a great women's match, I don't think it'll be a terrible match. Just as long as it doesn't it's not given too much time. Obviously, O.D.B will probably pick up the win. At least I think that's the route they should go, is O.D.B picking up the win. And then you have the next match, which is a triple threat tag team match, which this match really intrigues me because it could be just a solid tag team match, or it could possibly be a great tag team match. This is the Bullet Club of Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows versus the addiction of Christopher Daniels and Kazarian versus the Kingdom of Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. This could be a really fun triple threat tag team match here. Just hopefully it gets at least I would say with how many matches they got on here and some of the other matches you want given more time. If they get at least 10-12 minutes, I think it could be a hell of a match. I heard really good stuff from Matt Taven and Mike Bennett's match they had with the Briscoes this past weekend, which people have been raving about that match right there. So I definitely think having, obviously with Adam Cole injured at the time, obviously it's the only route they can go with the Kingdom is Taven and Bennett. But I think that is a better combination as far as a team, because I think Taven is really good, and Mike Bennett, he's not your typical Ring of Honor wrestler, which I think works perfect for Ring of Honor, because you don't want to have everyone be exactly the same, and he fits very well in Ring of Honor. I would expect with this probably the Addiction to take the pinfall on here, and the Bullet Club going over. That's just what I would expect them to do with it, but should be fun. Then you have Cedric Alexander versus Matt Sydal. This should be balls to the wall, insane, crazy shit from both of them. It will be a very entertaining match. Probably won't be given a lot of time, but should be given enough time where it'll be very fun, back and forth action, really fast paced. Looking forward to a lot. Obviously, I would say the better decision, it could go either way with either Sydal picking up the win or Alexander. But if it was me, I think having Cedric go over would make more sense. At least it would be better suited for him to go over, because I don't think Matt Sydal winning will really do much for him. But it could go either way, and I'm really looking forward to that match. And then the next match, which is probably the only match on the card I could say will be terrible. I mean, I don't expect much from Maria Kanellis and O.D.B, but I don't think it's going to be a god-awful match like the worst thing I've ever seen. But hopefully this next match is kept very, very short, and that's Moose versus Mark Briscoe. Obviously, they're going to have Moose, come in there, run roughshod over Mark Briscoe, look really strong against him, and I would say that unfortunately they're going to have Moose go over here. Which, what I got to say about Moose is, if he's motivated and he wants to try to become a professional wrestling, all the best for him. I hope it works for him. Just right now, I don't see any potential in him at all. I would pretty much say that he is a poor man's version of Uhaa Nation. That's pretty much what I would say Moose is at the current moment. And do they have to? I understand why they give it to him. Obviously every football player that becomes a wrestler, all of them have to do a spear. I understand why, tackling and stuff like that. But can't they give someone a different move? You don't have to give every football player that comes into professional wrestling a spear. I understand why you give it to them, but you don't always have to give it to them. But that's the only match I'm not looking forward to at all. Like I said, they'll probably have Moose go over Mark Briscoe. The next matchup is AJ Styles versus ACH. This could be a hell of a match, just as long as, I'm saying with some of these matches, just as long as it's given enough time, it should be some great, great stuff. Recently on Ring of Honor TV, they had one match that I would say everyone needs to go out their way to see if they have not watched it yet, which was the Bullet Club of the Young Bucks and AJ Styles taking on Cedric Alexander, ACH, and Matt Sydal. That was an incredible TV match. And within there, you saw a lot of stuff between AJ Styles and ACH, and just their back and forth action they had in that match. I expect some great stuff within this match. Obviously, with AJ Styles being the current IWGP Heavyweight Champion, AJ Styles will go over on ACH in this match. He'll pick up the win, but should be a hell of a match, and definitely a big match moment for ACH, and definitely looking forward to it a lot. Can't wait to see that. Then the next matchup is the match I'm looking forward to the most. This should probably be the match, in my opinion, that will steal the show and will have everyone talking. And this is reDRagon versus the Young Bucks for the ROH Tag Team Championships. This is off the heels of the Young Bucks defeating reDRagon in a triple threat with the Time Splitters at New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Beginnings in Osaka on February 11th. Now, within that match, even though reDRagon lost the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships, they did not get pinned. You had Kushida of the Time Splitters taking the pin, eating the pin in that match. So reDRagon, while they lost the IWGP Tag Team Championships going into this, they did not, actually get pinned into here, and that's obviously going to be the story that they lost titles here and, lost IWGP Tag Team Championships, but still have the ROH Tag Team Championships. And I would say probably I would expect them to have reDRagon go over in this match, even though I could see them giving the titles to the Young Bucks, especially considering that I don't know if the Young Bucks are scheduled to appear at the WrestleMania show, Supercard of Honor this year. But if they are, I could see them winning the Tag Team Championships, because you don't necessarily have to have them be a part of the show they got going on in Texas, but it would make sense having your tag team champions there. So I would probably say with their schedule with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I would expect them to have reDRagon go over in this match to retain the tag team championships. But who knows? They could have Young Bucks win the titles and then have reDRagon, within some time in March, defeat them back for the titles and just change the titles back really quick. We'll have to wait and see what they do there, but should be a hell of a match. In my opinion, should be the match to steal the show. And then you have the match that probably intrigues me the most, just because I think this could be, either a really solid match or it could possibly be a great match. And this is Jay Lethal versus Alberto El Patron. This is, Alberto El Patron has already had a few matches in Ring of Honor. Really enjoyed his match that he had on ROH TV with Christopher Daniels. That's probably been the best stuff I've seen from him in his Ring of Honor run right here. But I think this will be damn good stuff. I mean, Jay Lethal has had a long reign as TV champion. So with that being said, I would expect, with them putting so much emphasis on how long he's been TV champion, that Alberto El Patron probably will win the TV title here. But I'll be fine with it going either way, because I expect it to be a hell of a TV title match. Really looking forward to that a lot. And then you have the main event, which I already talked about, which is Jay Briscoe versus Michael Elgin versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Hanson in a four corners survival, high stakes four corner survival is what they're calling it, for the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. This should be a really, really fun match. I would say, give it about 25 minutes. It could be a hell of a match. I don't expect it to be match of the night, but it possibly could. I mean, but I would expect, the Young Bucks and reDRagon to steal the show. But, with the talent involved in the main event, you could have another great match in the main event as well. I would expect Jay Briscoe to retain the world title here, just because I don't think they're going to give the title back to Elgin, and I don't think Hanson's ready for it. And Ciampa, while I like him, I just don't think he screams worthy of being a Ring of Honor heavyweight champion, at least at this point in the game. So I think, just with all that being said, that Briscoe will probably retain the title here, and should be a fun pay-per-view. Really looking forward to it. Now, if you don't live in the U.S. and you're not able to see this pay-per-view live, the one good thing Ring of Honor is doing is, for the people that aren't able to get this on pay-per-view, either your service provider doesn't have it, or in most cases you don't live inside the U.S. but you want to see the show, is immediately following the pay-per-view, immediately following the live broadcast, it will be available as a video on demand VOD on ringofhonorwrestling.com. So this should be a really fun show. I'm glad that with the whole Samoa Joe announcement this week, that, not only are we seeing Samoa Joe back in Ring of Honor, but that right there is, getting more interest into this show. And just, I would say, Ring of Honor, what they need to do over the next few days, which they kind of are starting to do it this week, is just promote your shows a little better. That's the only gripe I have with Ring of Honor at the current moment, because I think their current product is good, but what they need to do is just promote their pay-per-views just a little bit better online. That's the only thing that they are not doing the greatest with this show, because even before Samoa Joe being announced as appearing on this show and being back in Ring of Honor, having AJ Styles, having Alberto del Patron, and having the Young Bucks and the Bullet Club on here, and other faces that people will be familiar with that have never watched Ring of Honor before, they should have done a little better job promoting it. But I'm really looking forward to this show and cannot wait to see it this Sunday. And that's it for my Ring of Honor 13th Anniversary Show pay-per-view preview. All right, peace.